What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the show. Sorry, I was a tad late there. Audio issues. For some reason, this wasn't picking up, so I got my backup here just in case. Hopefully, you can hear me loud and clear. Let me know in the chat. But lots to talk about today. We're going to talk a little bit about the IMF. We're going to talk about El Salvador in relation to that. We're going to be talking about Nayib Bukele, the president of El Salvador's his response to that. We also have a hot topic happening today, which is the travel rule as it relates to the Trezor hardware wallet and how that functions with exchanges and kind of transaction surveillance and so on and so forth in and around the Bitcoin space. We're going to be talking a bit about that today. So yes, a bunch of stuff to talk about. As always, this is live. Anything can happen. So I defer to my friend Bill here.
We'll do it live.
Okay.
We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. And thing sucks.
Now, if you haven't already, make sure you like, subscribe, share, all those things. Super, super important. They really do help the show. They help get more eyeballs here. So please, if you haven't already, do them right now. I am Ben with the BTC Sessions, and this is your daily session.
Hodl the Bitcoin.
All right, before we dive into the news, let's take a look at where we are in the market right now. I'm on the bitbo.io dashboard. Just in the past hour here, we've had a little bit of a bump upwards, getting closer to 37. We're at 36.9 or so right now. A single US dollar will pick you up 2,710 sats. In terms of fees, next block, 8 sats per byte. Anything beyond that, 1 sat per byte will do you. Worth noting that the Bitcoin hash rate was reaching all-time highs in the past kind of 24 to 48 hours. It did peak up above 200 exahash per second for a while. So we've come back strong from the China mining ban last year to achieve new all-time highs. Basically, the network is more secure than it's ever been. So I like that. I like if we can't get number go up in the price currently, we can get number go up in the hash rate of the network, which is an excellent thing to see. So that's super awesome. Of course, shout out to sponsors of the show, Shakepay.com. If you're buying Bitcoin in Canada, this is one of the easiest and best places to do it. No deposit fees, no withdrawal fees, a thin spread. When you use the link down below, if you haven't signed up yet, you can sign up, and after your first $100 that you purchase, you'll get $30 for free into your account to stack more sats. They do allow for the same deal if you recommend your friends. And once you do recommend a friend and they sign up and do the same, you can shake your phone every single day for free sats. They also have a sats back Visa card, so be sure to check them out. LEDN.io, you can use your Bitcoin for a ton of different services. In particular, if you're in a pinch, like I have been in various scenarios, you can deposit Bitcoin here and get a loan of dollars to your bank account within 24 hours. When you pay back those dollars, you get back the same amount of Bitcoin. They also have savings accounts for Bitcoin and USDC, and they have their B2X offering if you happen to be feeling mega bullish during these drops. Bitrefill, I love on Bitcoin. This helps a ton. Every gift card you can imagine, and you can pay in a variety of different countries, by the way. You can pay in Bitcoin via main chain or Lightning Network. I always use Lightning on here. And you earn sats back as you shop, and they have a referral program to stack some additional sats as you're going at it. So be sure to check them out. Links are down below. Keystone, you know these guys, one of my favorite and most used hardware wallets. We'll talk about it in a minute, but they will not be implementing the travel rule on their device, just so you know. But nonetheless, air-gapped goodness. Air-gapped meaning you never plug it into anything internet connected. Everything is offline via QR code, and that keeps the keys to your money safe and away from internet connections. Once you upgrade to the Bitcoin-only software, it works with a ton of different wallets: Blue Wallet, Wasabi Wallet, Spectre, Sparrow, you name it, they got it. And it is badass in a multi-sig setup. So check them out. Links are below. And finally, if you're backing up anything important, any important wallet, BillFodl, privacypros.io, get it in solid steel. Paper doesn't cut it. Water damage, fire damage, you know the drill. This is how I back up my stuff, and it gives me a much greater peace of mind. So check them out. Let's dive into the news here. This week, IMF urges El Salvador to ditch Bitcoin. So the executive board of the International Monetary Fund issued a statement on Tuesday urging El Salvador to remove Bitcoin's legal tender status in the country, citing concerns over risks the digital currency allegedly poses to financial stability and market integrity. The recommendation of the IMF comes as directors seek to stir the Central American country back to a position of better odds of receiving the $1.3 billion loan it asked the international institution for last year, as high debts leads to increasing financing needs, the directors noted in the statement. El Salvador, of course, adopted Bitcoin as legal tender back in September, and he is now looking at doing Bitcoin bonds. So rather than resorting to going to the IMF for money, they're issuing a Bitcoin bond coming up this year, and anybody can purchase the bond, and it is backed in part by Bitcoin. Basically, the way it'll work is half of the money goes to buy Bitcoin. That Bitcoin will sit. The bond issuance is 10 years long, and after 5 years, they'll start to pay a dividend based on half of the value that the Bitcoin has accrued in that time. On top of that, there's a 6% coupon, meaning you're earning 6% per year on the money, barring a default. The rest of the money, the other half that doesn't buy Bitcoin, is going to lots of different infrastructure stuff, including Bitcoin mining via their volcanoes. So interesting there. Anyways, again, it's so basically the IMF is saying they're urging the authorities to narrow the scope of their Bitcoin law by removing Bitcoin's legal tender status. Yeah, I know. That's basically what Nayib Bukele, the president, said. He retweeted a news article about that statement, and it's just a GIF from Simpsons, but with some Bitcoin stuff over top. Basically, I see you, IMF. That's very nice. Whatever. So yeah, he's not buying it. On top of this, Edward Snowden retweeted the same article, and he said, "Somebody sounds nervous," obviously referring to the IMF. Yeah, I mean, if they were so worried that this was going to cause a lot of pain, I imagine they would just let it fail, right? Like just let it fail and serve as a lesson to the globe. Clearly, I think their worry here is that it will work. In the long term, it will work, and other countries will see this and will realize maybe we don't need to go to the IMF when it comes to, long-term, getting loans and being able to fund infrastructure projects. Maybe we can rely on a combination of Bitcoin and funding from individuals and our excess power that isn't being currently used, things like that. And so it makes them a little bit more autonomous and less reliant on the IMF. So we shall see how that pans out. But I hope that El Salvador continues to hold strong and not kind of bend to these. Like, I doubt they would. My worry is that it gets escalated beyond this and it becomes more of a smear campaign. And yeah, things can get shady. Read Confessions of an Economic Hitman. It's a good one. It definitely outlines how dirty some of these nations can be when screwing with a country's economy. Let's move on. Bitcoin trades neutral as Fed Chair Powell speaks. So effectively, the other day, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, Jerome Powell, was speaking about his monetary policy moving forward. People were unsure based on the stock market reacting to his hawkish talk, meaning that they want to raise interest rates. And when that happens, then equities or stocks tend to drop. Especially more speculative stuff, which are tech stocks. And a lot of people treat Bitcoin as a tech stock because they don't understand it as a long-term savings vehicle. So regardless, I'll read a little bit here from Bitcoin Magazine. Bitcoin spiked toward $39,000 right after the release of the Federal Open Market Committee statement declaring interest rates would remain unchanged but quickly retraced back down to neutral territory as Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell went live in a press conference to address the future of U.S. monetary policy. He reiterated that the committee is focused on maintaining a strong labor market and curbing inflationary pressures, the two main drivers of their monetary policies. Inflation has run rampant over the past year as supply and demand imbalances and increased liquidity in the market have led to prices to sustain well above the committee's targeted average of 2% over the long run. Powell said inflationary pressures have been keeping the Fed alert as they try to contain prices. He added how inflation has been higher than its target for a longer period than anticipated. Yeah, and he basically said likely more hawkish set of policies to come. He didn't really iterate. He didn't really specify as rate rises what would be happening, but he wants to make, basically he's saying nothing so that the market will assume that he wants to raise rates, but if he can't, then it can be misconstrued as, well, he wasn't going to do it in the first place, but like is basically saying nothing. So no matter which way it goes, you can claim that you were in control. I don't think that's the case though. Regardless, anyways, Bitcoin largely kind of just crab walked through that one. Let's talk regulatory stuff. We will get to the travel rule stuff in a moment, but let's talk about a couple other things. This from Coin Center. There's a new bill that would hand Treasury a blank check to ban crypto at exchanges. So it says here, another must-pass bill, another rush policy that severely damages the privacy and constitutional rights of cryptocurrency users. We've just seen language in the American Competes Act of 2022 that would strip all administrative procedures and safeguards from the imposition of so-called, quote, special measures, prohibitions in the Bank Secrecy Act, while simultaneously expanding authority for such prohibitions to cryptocurrency activities. In brief, it would hand the Treasury Secretary unchecked discretion to forbid financial institutions, including exchanges, from offering their customers access to cryptocurrency networks. The Secretary may not use this discretion immediately, but it is not power the department should have. Yeah, so effectively, these measures can be put in place if the Secretary of the Treasury deems that, quote, reasonable grounds exist for concluding that a jurisdiction outside the U.S., one or more financial institutions operating outside the U.S., one or more classes of transactions within or involving a jurisdiction outside the U.S., or one or more types of accounts is of primary money laundering concern. So if something is of money laundering concern with no oversight whatsoever, the Treasury Secretary, if they deem that, then they can basically prevent all activity there. Now, obviously, they can't stop Bitcoin transactions from happening, but this would apply to any entity within the U.S. or dealing with the U.S., and they could say, no, not allowed, and basically shut it down. Obviously trash, obviously not excited about that. In the end, though, obviously not going to stop Bitcoin. So yeah, I don't know. This sucks. They're gonna try and do as much as they can to kind of hobble this thing, and especially the stuff that is actually centralized, like the other cryptocurrencies. That shit will definitely have a really hard time with this. Bitcoin, it will be a pain in the ass, right? If everybody's used to going to centralized exchanges with KYC and everything, they start doing little things like this, then yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a bad experience, and people that want to continue to use this stuff in a non-custodial and I don't know, free way will have more hoops to jump through. So hopefully this isn't like the final version that ends up going through, but you know, not great. This also dropped literally an hour before I did the show. White House wants crypto rules as a matter of national security. The Biden administration is preparing to release an executive action that will task federal agencies with regulating digital assets such as Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies as a matter of national security, a person familiar with the White House plan tells Barron's. The National Security Memorandum, expected to come in the next few weeks, would task parts of the government with analyzing digital assets and assembling a regulatory framework that covers cryptos, stablecoins, NFTs, and so on and so forth. This is designed to look holistically at digital assets and develop a set of policies that give coherency to what the government is trying to do in this space. That's kind of like a nothing statement. Like you got to go further than that. Anyways, because digital assets don't stay in one country, it's necessary to work with other countries on synchronization. This is stuff like you see out of the Financial Action Task Force and the travel rule, which we're going to get into right now. Trezor adopts Swiss travel rule protocol for private crypto wallets. The protocol automatically identifies an unhosted wallet. Unhosted. God, I hate that language. A self, what do you even say? Self-custody, owning your own Bitcoin, a wallet. It's a wallet. Basically identifies a wallet that an individual has when crypto is withdrawn from a Swiss exchange. So an automated way of sharing proof that a user owns a private cryptocurrency wallet when transacting with a regulated exchange in Switzerland is being integrated by hardware wallet Trezor. So developed by crypto startup 21 Analytics, the Address Ownership Proof Protocol, or AOPP, which also works with wallets like Bitbox, Edge, was designed to accommodate the Swiss Financial Markets Supervisory Authorities, or FINMA's, implementation of anti-money laundering requirements for cryptocurrency firms. Going beyond the recommendations made by global AML watchdog, the FATF crypto requirements in Switzerland include the identification of private wallets transacting with the country's virtual assets service providers. God, they've got so many acronyms, VASPs. The march of AML requirements into the realm of private or non-custodial wallets is something most countries are only in the initial stages of mulling over, often to the horror of crypto advocates. Well, yeah, obviously. But Switzerland and Singapore are already requiring identification for transactions over $1,000 with what the FATF calls unhosted wallets. So what does that actually look like? When it comes to determining ownership of private wallets, these entities in Switzerland have been asking users to submit a screenshot of their wallet or conduct a, quote, Satoshi test, whereby a specific amount of coins is sent to a verified wallet to confirm their receipt. Another way is manually signing using a private key. AOPP streamlines and automates that manual signing process, he added. So here's the thing. What is this actually doing? Basically, like right now, it's kind of implied that you own an address when you withdraw from an exchange, right? So the exchange will see your Bitcoin address when you withdraw to it, and there'll be some sort of implicit like, hey, this person owns this address. Sometimes they'll ask, do you own this address? As like in the past, it's been used as kind of like an anti-fraud type thing. So like if somebody's trying to screw you over, if it's like a phishing attack, or you have like a job that you've signed up for and you know it's a new user, they're trying to make sure that people don't get screwed by this. But this is something different. This is trying to prove and basically put in a neat and tidy box who owns what. Now, it's a little stupid in the way that once you withdraw from an exchange to an address that you own, if they know what address you own, you can then move it to another wallet from there. And then there's kind of that plausible deniability of, well, did you sell it at that point? What happened to it? So there's that element to it. Also, once you withdraw, you can coin join and use other privacy measures to break the links between Bitcoin that you've bought and where it goes next, so that people can't just sit and watch every single transaction you make and watch your spending habits. So there's that element to it. I don't like this being implemented in a wallet. It's a huge turnoff. I've seen a lot of people today saying, hey, I used to recommend Trezor because it's easy to use and it's convenient and does the trick. And now I will no longer be doing so. this definitely gives me pause because I hate seeing this kind of bending of the knee. Now, what Trezor is saying is, hey, this is actually because most other outside of Switzerland, most other companies haven't implemented anything like this. And so it's actually forcing people to put it into a private wallet like the Trezor, which has this implemented so that they can withdraw in the first place and then move it elsewhere. So it's encouraging self-custody. But I don't buy that. I think that's bullshit because eventually you may see other entities go and enact this. And so in the end, it won't encourage self-custody. And so I honestly think that wallets should, if an exchange wants to go to these extremes and wants to try and collect this data, make them do the work. Don't make it easier for them, because when you make it easier for them, it's going to be that much easier for them to take another inch and another inch and another inch. And eventually you've given a few inches and they take a mile. So I guess my general thought here is fuck the travel rule. You know, don't make it easy for them. And it makes me sad to even see that this is a thing that any company would consider implementing. And on that, now this is just it's a protocol. It can just be like baked in to make things easier if people want to use it. However, there's been pushback from this. People are pissed. I get why. And there was even listings on this saying, oh, this is already supported by other wallets and everything. Well, immediately Sparrow Wallet comes out and says, removing AOPP with the next release. Fucking awesome. Go you. Blue Wallet, removing AOPP, next release. Awesome. Keep it up. Foundation, our current stance regarding the travel rule protocol. And this from the CEO, Zach. Our concern is if this is just the first step towards more surveillance. Next up might be to require KYC for all UTXOs associated with the transfer or something like that. It's a slippery slope, and if we just all blindly comply with this, we set the groundwork for more pain. Exactly what I was just saying. So, Foundation, thank you. Keystone, feel sorry for the Trezor team. We won't do this. They are not going to adopt the travel rule. Kudos, Keystone. Thank you. And of course, NVK, aka Cold Card. We will never adopt this shit. One of the main reasons we closed CoinKite web wallet was impending KYC and centralized risk, and why we don't plan an app wallet. Cold Card Wallet will never be a financial services company, or I would rather just close up shop and work on something else. Yes. Thank you. So in the end, if Trezor doesn't make these changes, if Trezor continues down this path and you don't like it, there's a handful of alternatives. Bitbox is still on that list. So I don't know. I've kind of seen some people working for it today defending it. I don't know. You make your own decision, but I'm not a fan of it. And I don't think it should be implemented. Again, you don't have to use your device with an exchange. If an exchange implements it and asks you to do these steps, you can't say no to them. Otherwise, you can't withdraw. So, but I don't like the idea of bending the knee to this bullshit. And on the topic of if your exchange were to implement this, check out BISQ, BISQ. This is a decentralized exchange, peer-to-peer. You can send people dollars in a variety of, or whatever your local currency is, in a variety of different means, and they will send you Bitcoin. You have to do your due diligence. You have to be careful. You have to check that somebody has a lot of reviews and positive reviews. And there's a few more hoops to jump through. It is not as easy as using a KYC'd exchange. But if the trade-off is having to deal with that bullshit, you might want to check it out. And I did a full tutorial on it in December of 2020. It's got almost 50,000 views. I would like to see that double because if that's what you're going to have to deal with as the alternative, then it's time to check it out. So if your exchange starts being funky, or if the regulators get a little overzealous in your jurisdiction, then check this out. In fact, even if they don't, take a peek, familiarize yourself so that if it comes to that, this is an option. Okay? Check it out. Worth mentioning. Also, if you're curious about Bitcoin related privacy after you get your coins off the exchange, I do have a playlist called Bitcoin Privacy. There's a short 2-minute video about how to use Bitcoin privately, a lot of different tools you can use. And the rest of it is there's a Sparrow Wallet Whirlpool tutorial. There's a Wasabi coin join tutorial. There is a Samurai Wallet mobile coin join tutorial. And there's Mercury Wallet, which uses state chains, which is another method of breaking the links between you and your coins. So with that, feel free, dig away, learn, and I'll make more stuff as more privacy tools become available. Also run a node and use BISC. Just saying. Okay, let's keep going. Putin supports Bitcoin mining in Russia. Shortly thereafter, after the central bank recommended banning mining and trading of any cryptocurrencies in the country, Putin appears to not echo that. Not fully friendly, but definitely not, doesn't sound like they're banning anything. Anyways, Russian President Vladimir Putin reportedly backs a government proposal to encourage Bitcoin mining in the country through clear taxation and regulatory measures, instead of following the central bank's recommendation of banning activity altogether. According to a report by Bloomberg, the Russian government is mostly against radical measures and instead seeks to promote a healthy Bitcoin mining industry by presenting a new set of legislation intended to tax and regulate farms that have flocked to the country in the past year. So yeah, basically what happened, China bans mining, most of the hash rate exits the country, although some of it's still running because you're never going to be able to shut it down entirely, right? People can do it in hidden ways. However, the bulk of the hash rate went to the US, Kazakhstan, and Russia. And so they've seen an influx of this. And so obviously a government is going to say, hey, how can we perhaps make some money here? How can we tax this? I mean, government's going to government. But yeah, so anyways, they said the president's backing combined with this public comments this week mean that the proposals are likely to be approved. They highlighted that Russia has some competitive advantages to mining Bitcoin given its power surplus and well-trained manpower, according to a translated version of the statement from the Kremlin. The president also asked the government and central bank to come to a consensus regarding cryptocurrency. They suggested that we need to regulate, not ban. And they also said that they might think of trying to restrict mining to regions with a surplus of electricity. And they named a few regions that would apply to. So interesting. Definitely not the ban that everybody was freaking out about last week. It is more of a, hey, let's encourage this industry and maybe make a buck by bringing them here. So we'll see how that pans out for them. There's a Brussels member of parliament that is going to take their full 2022 salary in Bitcoin. I'm not sure how to say his name. Christophe de Boucler? I don't know. Anyways, he's a Brussels member of parliament, announced he will take his full 2022 salary in Bitcoin in an effort to raise awareness about the digital currency in Europe and spark conversations around its usage across different areas of society. Quote, I am first in Europe, but not in the world, and I want to shine a spotlight on cryptocurrencies with such an approach. I think it's not too late for Brussels and Belgium to be at the forefront of the cryptocurrency industry. We already have some great companies in the field, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he goes on to say that monetary policy is a political subject, which has been left in the hands of technocrats for too long. All economists warn us that we are entering a very risky period, loss of confidence, inflation, printing of banknotes like never before, digital euro. However, these subjects are never addressed in a democratic debate. What is currency? What's the point? What role for a central bank? I want to put these topics in the public square in 2022. Awesome. I mean, more kind of exposure like this where somebody sees promise in it and wants to accept and save Bitcoin and brings to light the idea that our currencies as they aren't serving us how they should be. is a positive thing in my eyes. So, you know, also that guy gets to stack his whole salary for 2022 in sats. So good for him. Let's keep going. Robinhood starts to allow Bitcoin withdrawals. That's a good thing. Easier for self-custody. Previously, you had to, you basically had an IOU. If you bought Bitcoin on Robinhood, you had to keep it there. If you wanted to hold your own Bitcoin, you'd basically be forced to sell and realize a taxable event and then rebuy elsewhere, which sucks. So they started rolling this out. Basically, Robinhood has started rolling out its long-awaited Bitcoin withdrawal feature. The company said in a Thursday statement that some users in the When Wallets waitlist have begun taking part in the functionality as beta testers, trying out new cryptocurrency wallets. This is the second major milestone in our wallet's rollout, which will enable Robinhood customers to send and receive their crypto from Robinhood to external crypto wallets and fully connect Robinhood crypto holders to the greater blockchain ecosystem for the first time. God, so many buzzwords in there. Just say we're allowing people to withdraw. Anyways, what else do they say? It's going to include the ability for users, this eventually down the line, users to calculate dollar amounts of their holdings when sending and receiving funds. The beta testers would have a daily limit of just shy of $3,000. Two-factor authentication will be required. Yeah, they're also trying to improve the transaction history interface and add a block explorer or add block explorer support to provide more insights into their on-chain transactions. I mean, in general, all positive things. It's better than it was. Move in the right direction. Awesome. Okay, Flushing Bank to offer Bitcoin services through NYDIG. Flushing Bank customers will soon be able to buy, sell, and hold Bitcoin directly within their online banking accounts. Sounds like an IOU to me. The New York State Chartered Bank will enable the functionality in Q1 through NYDIG and Q2 Holdings. Q2 provides digital banking solutions to Flushing Bank. So basically, yeah, there's a bank in New York State. You're going to be able to buy and sell Bitcoin within your bank account. Again, probably just a strictly custodial thing. Doesn't sound like you're going to have the ability to withdraw or deposit or anything like that. It's an exposure mechanism. It's an IOU. But I mean, this is part of what NYDIG was trying to do, basically trying to get more people interested in using and holding Bitcoin in a way, although you're not holding it if you're not actually holding it. But regardless, I guess it lends some degree of legitimacy to Bitcoin. If somebody logs into their bank account and there's an option to have Bitcoin, you know, I'd prefer them actually taking self-custody, but at least seeing it will legitimize it in their eyes. And maybe some of those people will follow down the rabbit hole and learn about self-custody. So we shall see. Quick little note. Jack Dorsey, former CEO of Twitter and CEO of Square and Spiral and Block, all of whatever the names are. Anyways, he's mining. Looks like he's got an S19 Pro miner, hydro-powered, apparently, solo mining. Cool. I want to dive down this rabbit hole this year. I want to get just like a small, maybe like an S9, learn about how to use it, learn about how to get it set up with a mining pool and do kind of like just a general video series. How do I get a miner? How do I calculate if it's worth it, if it's profitable? How do I set it up? How do I connect to a mining pool? All those questions I would very much like to do. And I mean, I haven't searched extensively, but I haven't seen a ton of just easy press play and follow along tutorials on this. So if you would like to see that, please do let me know. I'm curious. But yeah, that's on the roadmap for me, I think. Okay, so I asked you guys, what's your favorite piece of Bitcoin content this week? Podcast, article, video, book, whatever you enjoyed the most. And one that I saw mentioned a few times that I'm going to have to check out. The boys over at Blue Collar Bitcoin recommended Mark Moss on the Investors Podcast being interviewed by Preston Pish. So I heard that's a good one. If you've already listened to it, let me know how it was. I'm going to be checking it out soon, but they discuss monetary cycles and history. Mark Moss always has like this really cool historical framework to look at things through. He's got a unique lens to look at things through. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. Yeah, go hit it up. Let me know how it is. Things that I dropped this week. I did drop a video tutorial on the Shakepay Bitcoin Visa. So what this is basically a Visa card within your Shakepay app if you're in Canada, sorry if you're in the US. But anyways, if you're in Canada, basically it's a Visa app that reflects the Canadian dollar balance of your account. And whenever you use it to buy anything, and you can just tap the phone via Apple Pay or Google Pay, it will earn you sats back. I've earned 200,000 sats back so far on the card. And yeah, it works like a charm. It's awesome. So the few filthy fiat dollars that I do get, I can spend them and earn sats back in the process. So check that out. There's a tutorial on that. I also dropped a general kind of newbie friendly video on what is a Bitcoin hardware wallet. And it talks about kind of how it functions and how it's different from a regular hot wallet. And then I dropped another lightning session today talking about UTXO management or coin control. And this fits very much in line with the privacy stuff we were talking about before. Knowing where the Bitcoin is coming from, who knows what pieces of Bitcoin you own, and being careful in the way that you spend your Bitcoin so that you're not just willy-nilly giving up financial information as you move Bitcoin around. So that's just a short 2-minute video. I use Sparrow Wallet as an example. So be sure to check that out. And finally, tomorrow, don't miss Why Are We Bullish? I'm excited for this one. One's going to be fun. So I'm going to be having, I'll call them the BTC couple. They do have a Twitter handle called this, but their more popular Twitter handle is the crypto couple. They tell me that when they first kind of got into the space, they didn't really understand the difference, like how Bitcoin stood apart, but they assure me they get it now. And anyways, these guys just make hilarious, awesome kind of like skit videos, joke videos in and around Bitcoin. So if you haven't seen them, you can go follow them and check out the show with them tomorrow. And I also have, as I just mentioned them previously, Blue Collar Bitcoin, both the guys from Blue Collar Bitcoin, Dan and Josh, I believe. So they're going to be on as well. And yeah, a couple duos joining for the show. I'm very excited for this one. They are all awesome, and I'm excited to have a good conversation with them. With that, time to wrap it up. Thank you guys so much for watching or listening. If you're listening on the pod afterwards, please do like, subscribe, share on YouTube. I can't say it enough. It really does help. Please do it. If you want to help the show in another way, hit the sponsors down below. Shakepay, LEDN, Bitrefill, Keystone, BillFodl, all of them in the show notes. And if you really liked what you saw, you can always drop me a Bitcoin tip. A variety of ways. You can hit me up on Twitter. You can send me something from Shakepay at my Shake Tag, BTC Sessions, or you can hit me on my Strike page, strike.me/BTC Sessions. And you get there, you type in any amount you want, you hit the tip button, you'll be greeted with a Lightning invoice, or if you tap to the right, a regular Bitcoin QR code. With that, I'm out. Have yourselves a wonderful day or evening, wherever you may be. See you guys tomorrow for your daily session.
HODL the Bitcoin.